35-0084.
I do, Senator Alma Francis Heiliger.
Senator Francis Heiliger, kindly proceed. And you're
Good.
recognized.
Thank you. Good morning to my colleagues. Good morning to the people of the territory. Good morning to the testifiers. Bill number 35-0084 offers an option. As you know, here in our territory, as business owners, when it is time to secure the name of your business or what you would like to be represented as, you have to register a trade name, which you could secure for up to 2 years, where you would have to go every 2 years and renew it. In having open and candid conversations with our Lieutenant Governor's office, I do applaud them for transitioning over to an electronic system, which I do use and I actually love. It has made my life a lot easier. And I saw this as a way of also giving more additional options to business owners who might want to secure that trade name for longer than a 2-year period. Instead of having to go every 2 years to renew, they could choose the options between 2 years, 6 years, up to 10 years maximum. I did not want to go beyond that because you never know whether a business is going to close and to potentially hold on to a name for an extended period of time. So in my research, I did see that some states did up to 5, some did up to 10. So it was a fluctuation. And I know with us here locally, we have an interesting way of when things get on the books, they stay there for 100 years. So I made necessary adjustments to go give the business owner the option. One of the things in having our conversation with the Lieutenant Governor's office, they did share with me several weeks ago about a potential cost to upgrade the system that they currently use. And they did share that amount, which I submitted an amendment to include that dollar amount. So we're going to, I'm waiting on the amendment from legal counsel, which we submitted a few weeks ago, but that aspect is going to definitely be included based on our discussions with the Lieutenant Governor's office, as well as a time certain to give them the opportunity to make these necessary changes. So I want to request and ask my colleagues to please support this piece of legislation because it does give business owners the option to secure the name of their business for an extended period of time if they choose to just do 2 years, 6 years, or say, you know what, I'd like to do this every 10 years. It's their choice. So I look forward to the open discussion and hopefully I will get support for this piece of legislation. Thank you, Madam Chair. Good afternoon. Well, is it still morning? Good morning once again to the people of the territory and the testifiers. My quick question has to do with the time needed. As I stated earlier, I did submit several weeks ago an amendment for the $50,000, specifically the number to be included in the bill. But when it came to adding in a specific time frame, I did a lot for time for coding, time for testing, time for negotiating. I did all of that, and I said it based on the amendment that I requested for it to be done within 180 days, roughly 6 months. Do you think that is more than adequate time to get this completed?
Yes, Senator.
Okay. That was my major question because I wanted to make sure with my amendments that we accommodated what was necessary to make this accomplished. For me, again, this is to assist with helping business owners in dealing with their options out here. So I hope that my colleagues do support this piece of legislation. Once it is my hope to try to get it amended right here today after the second block when we go to voting. And those updates should be included if it's passed upon here by my fellow colleagues. So thank everyone for sharing their thoughts and asking their questions and for your testimony today. And at the appropriate time, we will cast a vote. Thank you so much. Good afternoon once again to my colleagues. Good afternoon to the people of this territory. Good afternoon to the testifiers. This is one of those moments when I'm very, very happy that I'm a member of this committee, that we get to see pieces of legislation like this before us. when it comes to Mr. George and just reading and listening to the testifiers and his family, and even looking through the piece of legislation that this individual ultimately gave his life to make sure that we live in a society that I could do stuff like this. I could be who I am. And it was done by a Virgin Islander. And that is a blessed, blessed thing. And I want to talk a little bit to his siblings. When you just spoke a little bit about, getting that little ease when your brother would, iron and do little chores and stuff for that, I said, being the oldest, I wish I had those luxuries, but I did not, okay? So you are very fortunate. But what I want to ask both of you, is there something about your brother that was so impactful that it left such a mark on you that today it's a part of who you are and even how you might share it with others? Is there something you could share with us?
You go ahead.
Well, as I noted in my testimony, all the things that I noted here, his honesty, his integrity, all these things, these were real. There's nothing made up here. It's as solid as a rock. And in terms of dedication, like I said, once he decided on something, he will definitely see it through all the way. And that's why, my stepdad, which is his dad, was in the Navy. And I thought that initially that he would go Navy, but he decided he wanted to be a leatherneck, as they call it in the Marine Corps. Okay, and so he decided that was the Corps for him. That was the place that he felt, and like I said about him feeling that the Marines, they were that close-knit, really stuck together. That's the kind of person that, that's the kind of attitude he had.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm very
So
happy.
everything I mentioned here, solid as a rock.
Excellent.
Okay?
Well, to his cousin, I have a question for you. How do you think he would feel receiving this honor if he were here today?
I think he would be very pleased because it speaks to who he was and what he always tried to tell us and share with us. When it comes to family, he was very family oriented. It was like a knit where the young and the old had respect. And that was something that I don't want the younger generation to ever forget. The young and the old respected him. And that is something that, if anything actually wear off on me, was that. His love for family and having respect for young and old.
Excellent. I just even talking about that, sometimes even in this modern day and age, I question if sometimes we've lost that in dealing especially with some of the young people. Madam Chair, could I just wrap up my statement quickly?
You may proceed to wrap up, Senator.
When I was listening to how all of this was being presented in respect and honesty, I said, I grew up in a time where certain things were just how they were, appropriate, and that's what was expected of us. And I sometimes long for those days. And I hope that, unfortunately, hopefully we have a better chance in trying to reinstill some of these things you guys clearly talked about, your brother, your family member, your friend, so that this future generation could see that there were people like that. This was normal. This was normal. And we expect that type of behavior. And when we, like make these things into law that they could now look back and say and be proud of Virgin Islanders. Wait, this was a really cool guy, you know? Once we create these things, it's a way for them to look back, and maybe it'll help them as they move along in their future as well. So, Madam Chair, thank you for the additional time, and I will vote at the appropriate time.
Thank you so much, Senator Alma Francis Heiliger. You're recognized for your motion.
Thank you. I move to offer Bill number 35-0109, an act honoring and commending the late Corporal Kendall Emmanuel George posthumously for his service as a corporal of the United States Marine Corps in the Vietnam War, and for making the ultimate sacrifice to preserve democracy and to keep America and the Virgin Islands homeland safe, naming Route 107 from Coral Bay to Limshore Bay, St. John, Kendall Emmanuel George Drive, South, and appropriating $10,000 to the Department of Public Works for signage at the Kendall Emmanuel George Drive and for other related purposes. To be voted on favorably from this committee and forwarded to the Committee on Rules and the Judiciary for further consideration. I so move. Second. I offer amendment number 35-524 to amend Bill number 35-0084 offered by Senator Alma Francis Heiliger. Bill number 35-0084 is amended by designating the existing language as subsection A and adding subsection B and C to read as follows. B, the sum of $50,000 is appropriated from the fiscal year ending September 30th, 2024 from the general fund of the Treasury of the Government of the Virgin Islands to the Office of the Lieutenant Governor to implement subsection A, and C, subsection A for this act takes effect 180 days after enactment. I so move. Second. Motion.
Senator Francis Heiliger, you are recognized for your motion.
Thank you. I move to offer Bill number 35-0084, an act amending Title 11 Virgin Islands Code, Chapter 21, Section 1213, to allow businesses operating under a trade name to have the option of renewing the trade name every 2, 6, or 10-year intervals, to be voted on favorably in this committee and forwarded to the Committee on Rules and Judiciary for further consideration. I so move. As amended, I so move.
Bill